Share. Here we go.
Wait, so you guys aren't doing anything on Friday?
It will be most likely a work day. Yeah. Okay, mutations. So DNA sequences, the letters that make up our DNA, they can change, okay? But I do want to point out that the differences in the letters is what makes us different, okay? So if I were to compare my DNA to one of your DNAs, there would only be a 1% difference. Isn't that crazy? Even though we like are completely, different. Like I'm tall, blue eyes. Maybe some of you have brown eyes, etc.
I'm on the fluffy side.
Okay, so differences is what makes one organism different from another. However, your DNA can change, and that change is called a mutation. Okay. So here I have an example. If the normal sequence is supposed to read GAG, and this is the other side that matches complementary, if we have a mutation where the A turns into a T, it can mess up your red blood cells. Okay. Normal red blood cells look like a donut. I'll draw a picture of a donut here. But that one mutation where an A turns into a T doesn't look like a donut anymore. Looks like a crescent moon, a croissant. Okay, they call it sickle cell.
Croissant.
Now, red blood cells that look like donuts, they can hold a lot of oxygen. What do you think this sickle cell? Not so much. Okay, not so much. Why is that? Well, when we take a look at the RNA matches complementary, so it's going to be GAG. I think they took it from here. I don't know what they did. But over here it's GUG, and they use the codon wheel. It's a different amino acid. In the normal, it codes for glutamate, but in the mutation, it codes for valine, and it's just enough difference where instead of being donut-shaped, it is sickle-celled shaped. Okay. So 3 things happen when a mutation occurs. Number 1, it has no effect because maybe it codes for the same amino acid. You saw on that codon wheel that some of those amino acids had multiple codes. Well, if one of those mutations just changes it to one of the other codons that codes for the same amino acid, it's not going to have any effect. Second thing that can happen is that it could be minor. Okay, it might not cause death and destruction, but maybe the protein doesn't work as well as it should, or it's not as efficient, but the organism still lives. And the third is that it could be great, okay, maybe really, really bad. So let's take a look at this sentence here. One day the cat ate the rat. Notice it's a sentence. It makes sense in that every single word is 3 letters long, kind of like a codon and how it codes for a protein or amino acid. I know, thank you. Now, what if we take out the letter A? Right, so I'm going to take out this letter A. And so now everything's going to get shifted over because it reads in 3, every 3 letters. So now my sentence reads like this. One day, heck at a hat. Doesn't really make sense anymore. That's pretty good. But it doesn't make sense anymore. So maybe the protein doesn't work as well as it should, and it could be pretty harmful to that organism. So there are different types of mutation. Your book talks about some of these. But if the normal word is beast, but all of a sudden we substitute a B for an F, you get feast. Or maybe it takes out a letter, kind of like what I did on the previous slide, where instead of being beast, it's best. Or maybe letters, they get swapped around. That does happen. So instead of being beast, it's beats. I'm not going to show you the last picture. It's inappropriate. And I'll get in trouble now that I'm recording. So maybe you can figure it out. But, oh.
Peace.
I'm just not going to. Nope, maybe later. So I'm going to show you brain pop here about genetic mutations. and I hope it plays.
He's gonna show us the brain pop. What else?
Oh, how come it's not playing?
Of course, when there isn't a cover.
Hold on, Julia. I'm gonna stop share here and figure out what's wrong with my screen. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Oh, you making me log in again. Shoots, did you see what I typed in? Oh no.
We only saw it.
It's not really a big deal. I think everyone knows the password. Okay. Take two.
Look, a four-leaf clover. Whoa. Dear Tim and Moby, what's a genetic mutation? From Andy. Genetic mutations are permanent changes to a cell's DNA or RNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid and ribonucleic acid are the chemical blueprints for your entire body. Every living organism has genetic material that controls all of its body's function. This material also determines physical traits. Some, like eye color, are completely controlled by your genes, while others, like height, are a product of genes plus environment. Sometimes the genetic code changes. Well, most of these changes do nothing at all. They're corrected by DNA repair, so they don't become permanent mutations. But when mutations do become permanent, they're usually deleterious or bad. Cells depend on thousands of proteins to work properly. Mutations can mess up the genes that are responsible for making these proteins. For example, sickle cell anemia, a blood disease, is caused by a very small mutation in a protein encoding gene. Cancer is the result of deleterious mutations that cause uncontrolled cell growth. Occasionally, a mutation is beneficial and helps an organism survive. Beneficial genetic mutations are thought to be one of the driving forces of evolution. That's the process that makes organisms change over a number of generations. Organisms with beneficial mutations survive better and are more likely to pass on their mutated genes. Oh, mutations can be caused by lots of different things. Sometimes they happen spontaneously or randomly during cell division. Mutation can also be caused by outside forces like chemicals, radiation, and viruses. Wow, that's kind of neat. Hey, maybe we should tell some scientists about this thing. What? Ow, whoa, why did you do that? You're weird.
I always find the ending of that really awkward. Okay, one more slide and then we'll read out of the book. So as you saw in that video, mutations can also cause some genetic disorders. And so a genetic disorder just means a condition that results from some type of mutation and it's going to affect how a cell normally works. They can be inherited, so passed on from your parents, or brought on by behavior. So like, for example, diabetes. You can inherit that, but you can also bring that on yourself by the diet that you can, your diet choices, I should say. Cancers, usually inherited, but again, you can expose yourself to chemicals that can cause cancer, carcinogens that we're going to talk about tomorrow. Sickle cell anemia, I drew a picture of that. It's not donut shaped, it's sickle cell shaped. And tomorrow I'll talk more about Tay-Sachs disease. I'll show you actually an 8-minute clip on Tay-Sachs disease, which is actually, it's really sad, but yeah. I won't. Okay, so next we are going to read out of the book. Yep, we're going to be on page 173. Yeah, go for it, Hannah.
Nope, there's school actually that cold?
The gym is freezing.
Yeah, then we have to.
Oh, I can move it. I can bring it back. Do you need it back? I'm sorry.
Reagan's family said yesterday she wore her jersey and her sweatshirt.
It's cold. I wore my winter coat when I was coaching the basketball game. I didn't take it off at all.
So what else are players supposed to be doing? Wearing sweatshirts?
No,
I don't know.
they
They just played.
I don't
they
think
come-
it was as bad that one day, but still might be 30.
I think it's gotten worse.
By the sound of it, yeah, the walls
Worst part
are.
is I still have to go in there.
The walls had frost on them.
Oh, Mr. Beast says something, you can see it. You can feel it on the walls.
Yeah.
Is there a dash like Tay?
Tay Sachs, yes.
Why
Put the
can't we
dash.
go to Ortonville
We're
School?
going to Holland.
Okay. Okay. You'll be back, right?
Why can't we go to the Ortonville School? Like, just let us go to an away game.
Did you get it? Sorry. Do I need to move it? Okay. All
Do
right.
you guys have a game today?
No, you're at Thursday.
Wait, what page is it?
Page 173. Oh, no, I lied. Page 175.
We're playing our stocking hats.
Page 175, mutations. You have read, looks like my head's being cut off here. You have read that the sequence of nitrogen bases in DNA determines the sequence of nitrogen bases in mRNA, and that mRNA sequence determines the sequence of amino acids in a protein. You might think these sequences always stay the same, but they can change. A change in the nucleotide sequence in a gene is called a mutation. Next paragraph. I don't know if we finished, did we finish favorite game?
Yes.
We did.
We did.
We got pizza games, TV shows. Wait, what page?
Okay, we'll do favorite winter activity since it's so cold out. Page 175.
We don't get hot water at night. Found that out the hard way.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, favorite winter activity is basketball.
Take it.
It is Tayton.
It is.
I think so.
Okay.
The 46 human chromosomes contain between 20,000 and 2,500 genes. 25,000 genes that are copied during DNA replication. Sometimes mistakes can happen during replication. Most mistakes are corrected before replication is completed. A mistake that is not corrected can result in mutation. Mutations can be triggered by exposing to X-rays, ultraviolet light, radioactive materials, and some kinds of chemicals.
Thank you. Types of mutation. There are several types of DNA mutations. 3 types are shown in figure 17. In a deletion mutation, 1 or more nitrogen bases are left out of the DNA sequence. In an insertion mutation, 1 or more nitrogen bases are added to the DNA. In a substitution mutation, 1 nitrogen base is replaced by a different nitrogen base. So if we take a look at figure 17, I believe in your review guide, it says, what are the 4 types of mutations? It's a typo. There's only 3. So substitution, where we substitute one nucleotide for another. So it says the CG base pair has been replaced with an AT. So it looks like we're looking at the original code was CG and it's now been changed to TA. Page 175. Insertion means that we add it in now. Looks like they've added a couple base pairs here. And the deletion means you take it out and then everything shifts over. Ellie.
Since it says 4, should we write the original or no?
No, just write 3 and I'll just change it when I correct it. Yeah, it's an error on my part. Bottom paragraph on page 175. Favorite winter activity is skiing.
Ellie.
Nope.
Is it London?
Nope.
Julia?
And
Jade?
Nope.
Is it
Jordan.
Madison?
It is medicine. So Tayton, you get to choose who gets to read.
Edmund.
Not.
Oh, shots fired.
Each type of mutation changes the sequence of nitrogen base pairs. This can cause a mutated gene to code for a different protein than the normal gene. Some mutated genes do not code for any protein. For example, a cell might lose the ability to make one of those proteins it needs.
Thank you. All right.
Wait.
Yes, Ellie.
is it what 3 genetic disorders are
Same
caused by
idea.
mutation?
I know. I just know in the review guide, I think I have something that says, what are the 3 types of mutation? And It says 4, but there's really only 3. So I don't know. After we're done here, I'll find that number. The results of a mutation. The effects of a mutation depend on where in the DNA sequence the mutation happens and the type of mutation. Proteins express traits. Because mutations can change proteins, they can cause traits to change. Some mutations in human DNA cause genetic disorders, such as those described in Table 4. So if we go down to Table 4, PKU, we talked about that before, where a person can't consume the amino acid phenylalanine. And if it does, then it poisons their nerve cells, so they have to change their diet. Cystic fibrosis helps move mucus out of the cells, and if it's mutated, mucus builds up and it blocks the airways to your lungs and can affect digestion. They talk about Williams syndrome, and then breast cancer and ovarian cancer. They've identified 2 genes on chromosome 17 and 13 for that. So, all right, middle paragraph, skinny paragraph. Winter activity, snowboarding.
Jordan.
Julia,
It is Julia Tate, and you get to choose again.
Ellie,
What one?
However,
However, not all mutations have negative effects. Some mutations don't cause changes in proteins, so they don't affect traits. Other mutations might cause a trait to change in a way that benefits all.
thank you. Scientists still have much to learn about genes and how they determine an organism's traits. Scientists are researching and experimenting to identify all genes that causes these specific traits. With this knowledge, we might be one step closer to finding cures and treatments for genetic disorders. And you'll see that in the short little film we'll watch tomorrow on that with Tay-Sachs. Now, your assignment is really, really short, okay? I'm gonna pull it up here. It's only 3 questions. I'll slide it over so Julia can see. It says list 3 things that can damage DNA. I'm not looking for the 3 types of mutations. I'm looking for 3 things that can damage. And I think your book lists 4. What harmful effects can a mutation cause? I'm just looking for 1. Your book has listed many. And then are all mutations harmful? Why or why not? So make sure you explain that. You will find all the answers in your book on pages 175 or 176, okay? So that's all for mutations. Tomorrow we'll talk about cancer, and you'll have another short assignment. Oh, so, I take that back. I don't think it's longer than this one, but yeah. All right. And to stop recording.